Tom here at Ready Set Sweat. I want to talk to you a little bit today about pool aids, pool gear, toys we use at the pool to help improve our swim and a lot of times keep us from being bored doing those long sessions. Anyway, I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm going to show you what I keep in my bag, tell you what I use, why I use it, how I use it when I'm helping other swimmers. I am going to give you a disclaimer. None of the companies on this table are sponsoring Ready Set Sweat. Allie and I tend to only recommend gear that we have personally used and abused and tested out. What you'll see on this table is a lot of Speedo and Finis and some Aquasphere gear. That stuff has worked for me, so I tend to go with companies that have reliable gear. There's plenty of other companies that are good, and it's no discredit to their products, but these are the ones that I've tried and I know work. So first, let's start off with this little thing. Standard pool bag. Notice it's mesh, or mostly mesh. Recently, at one of my pool sessions, I watched a swimmer come in carrying a Publix plastic bag, or it was a Walmart plastic bag, with all his pool gear in it. Obviously, it had been sitting in a deep, dark place for a while because I could see into the clear white bag that it had mold or penicillin or something growing in it. Please, please don't do that. Spend the money to buy a cheap swim bag, something that airs out, lets your gear dry out. First other piece of gear I want to talk about is the snorkel. This is a Finis snorkel. There's other snorkels out there. What I use that for is to work on staying in alignment. I'll do a set of, say, 1050s, wearing that in the pull buoy. And at Ready Set Sweat, if you've taken any lessons with us, you know we focus on proper mechanics, alignment, and tautness. And that's the key to becoming an efficient and aerodynamic swimmer. Another piece, if you're going to get the snorkel, I recommend you spend the 99 extra cents to get you a nose clip, unless you're looking to do a sinus flush, because lesson learned, that will happen. Moving on, another really cool piece of kit. This is Speedo. They're called ankle locks. What I'll do is I'll use these along with the snorkel and the pull buoy. I'll lock my ankles down and do different sets. What it does is it forces you to use your core to stay in alignment. If you ever want to know how weak your core is, do about 200 yards in that kind of configuration, and you'll notice you start fishtailing when your core starts to fatigue. You don't notice that normally when you're regularly swimming. That will show you how weak your core can be. There's some people that, I'm kind of sadistic. I like my ankles locked down. Some people don't like that feeling, Allie in particular. So there are rubberized ankle straps, or you could take an old inner tube, cut the stem out, cut it to size, and wrap that in a loose knot around your ankles, and it'll have basically the same effect. You'll just have a little more flexibility. Moving on to my next set of gear. These are some of my favorite. This is one of my favorite toys. These are Finis Zoomers. There's various companies that make fins. Please don't show up at the pool using scuba diving fins. I see people all the time doing that. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're getting ready to go to St. Martin, or if they're trying to become a better swimmer or triathlete. I don't know what they're doing, but that's not going to help you become a faster swimmer using those type of fins. The reason I like these is I had a motocross accident a few years ago, broke my foot, and I have a pretty sizable calcium deposit on the top of my foot. But these, as you can see, are very pliable, so they don't hurt me. What I use these for when I'm training people, I'll use those to help them develop some propulsion so that they can keep in proper alignment or keep their hips up or things like that. What I use them for, and there is absolutely no scientific evidence that I've been able to prove that this works, and it's probably a placebo that helps me. I tend to do my long runs on Sunday, and if you see me at the pool on Monday, I'm usually doing some kind of technical set, a lot of drills, but I'll have the fins on the whole time, and I do that because I feel like it's flexing my tendons that have been beat up from the long run, flushing the lactic acid out of my lower legs and stretching those muscles out. That's why I use them, a lot. Moving on, these are hand paddles. Now, you'll notice, these are Speedo hand paddles, by the way. You'll notice I'm a big guy, 6'2", I got big hands. These are not much bigger than my hand. I see people come to the pool with these oversized, huge hand paddles. Don't do that. You're going to end up hurting your shoulders and causing more damage to your stroke than you can imagine. You get the ones that are close to the size of your hand. They help you build strength. They'll let you know when you don't do your entry correctly, because you'll feel it pull off to the side or down, or even rip it off your hand, depending on what type of paddles you have. There's various companies that have some really good paddles out there, and different designs, etc. I tend to like these. They stay on my hand even when I mess up, and I do. They'll slide off to the side a little bit. You'll know. Moving on, this is a pretty standard piece of kit. This is a Finnis pull buoy, but here's the thing: you don't even have to buy one of these. All the local pools have a box of those sitting off to the side, or at least the ones I've swam at. And you just go pick one up and use it, put it back when you're done. I like the pool buoys. I use them a lot because I tend to race races that you have a wetsuit swim. So this will mimic your hip position for a wetsuit swim when you're going to race. Also, when I'm working with swimmers, I tend to work front to back on issues. So if I have a swimmer that has multiple issues, let's say they don't enter correctly, or they don't have a good pull, and they're spoiling their kick, for instance, or dropped hips, I'll put them on this so that we can isolate working on the one or two things at a time out front till we get those corrected. Then I'll pull the buoy off of them, and then we'll work on the other things. This right here is another style of pull buoy. It's called the Edney buoy, and as you can see, it's almost like two Coke bottles have been spliced together. This has become my favorite piece of kit. Again, going back to the ankle strap, I'm kind of sadistic. With this one, each bottle will hold 3.5 pounds of water, and thus you could have up to 7 pounds of drag. I don't recommend that because I've tried it with both bottles filled. Your hip, you're just not strong enough to keep your hips up. Fill one side, you get 3.5 pounds of drag. That's a good solid workout, and it's enough. If you got enough strength, you can keep your hips into the proper position, but you're getting a very, very good strength set out of that. If you leave it empty, it's going to work just like this one. So you get a lot more flexibility with this one. Moving on, I tend to keep 2 pairs of goggles. One pair of them I use for racing, and the other one I use throughout the season for training. And then the following season, usually get another pair for racing, and then move the other ones to training. I'll keep a pair of smoked ones for sunny times where we're doing OWS or racing and it's sunny, and I have a pair of clear ones. I recommend replacing your goggles about every 6 months. The seals will start to go bad depending on how much you're swimming. I tend to stick with Aquasphere. They're reliable, but mostly because they fit me good. I have a big nose. They fit my face correctly. I recommend that you go to Fleet Feet, Bicycle Cove, First Place Athletics, one of the local retailers that sell this type of gear, and try on different types of goggles. Do not get sucked into, oh, those look cool because they have a hologram of skulls on them. Get the ones that fit. Otherwise, you're going to look cool, but you can have a big gouge in your nose, or it's going to rub the eye socket the wrong way, and you're just not going to be comfortable. And it's bad enough you're having to, at least locally, stick your face down in dirty brown water to race and not be comfortable. So that's my selling point on those. Earplugs. I know people who don't swim with them and they're fine. I tend to start getting not vertigo, but a little disoriented when I have a lot of water in my ear. So I use silicone type earplugs, and I also keep a pair of backup wax ones just in case, because it seems like every, I don't know, 4 to 5 swims I'm missing one earplug. I don't know how that happens. Kind of like socks at your house, right? They end up missing. But anyway, so that's what I use. And then another really cool piece of kit. This is a Finis tempo trainer. If you've ever run and tried to up your cadence and you've used metronome, right? This is metronome for your swim. It ups your cadence. Allie and I spent last summer a couple of hours at her pool working with this, testing it. This is, if you ever watch open water swim, YouTube an open water distance race, you'll think those folks are swimming by their cadence and their arm turnover. They're swimming a 100-yard dash, or 100-meter swim dash. This tool can help you up your cadence, and there's some people that they have a really slow arm turnover, and this helps them. There's YouTube videos on how to use it. Finis has a pretty good booklet they send with this piece of gear to tell you how to do it. If you get it and you can't figure it out, give Allie or I a call at Ready Set Sweat, and we'll get a session with you and get you sorted out on this with a really cool piece of gear. But anyway, that's what I keep in my toolkit. You'll notice, or in my swim bag, you'll notice that there's no kickboard. That's because most pools, just like with this piece of gear, have a whole stack of them off to the side that you can use. I don't tend to use the kickboard a lot. I will assign it to people who need it when I'm training them. If I'm doing one-arm drill, the kickboard, I tend to hit it a lot. I just hold my pull buoy out in front of me and do it. So that's me. Anyway, hopefully you found this informative. If you have any questions, please contact us, Allie or myself at Ready Set Sweat, and we will get back with you and answer any of your questions. Thank you.